Making a Murderer is the latest true crime series to become an American cultural phenomenon. Its diverse cast of characters being lauded and vilified in equal measure. Now, whether or not you think Steven Avery is guilty, there are plenty of unanswered questions and lots of theories as to who really killed Teresa Halbach. Here are the 5 most compelling theories. Theory number 1, Scott TADYCH and Bobby Dassey did it. You'll remember Scott is Barb's husband and they live with Bobby Dassey, her son from a previous relationship. There were some pretty odd inconsistencies with their statements and testimony. First of all, they were each other's alibis. Scott claims to have seen Teresa Halbach taking photos of the van between 2:30 and 2:45. He then left at 3 and says he saw Bobby driving in the other direction. Bobby was the only witness to confirm this sighting. Second, Scott's claim that Teresa was gone by 3 p.m. is directly contradicted by the school bus driver, who said that she saw Halbach taking pictures after 3:30 p.m. He also changed his story about the size of the flames he saw in Steven's backyard. They went from 3 feet high to 10 feet. The other creepy thing about Scott, it was reported, though not confirmed, that he was attempting to sell one of his stepson Bobby's .22 caliber rifles shortly after Halbach's disappearance. As for Bobby, he had some suspicious scratches on his back the week after the murder, which he attributed to a puppy. Furthermore, it was Barb's van that Scott was trying to sell, so he knew that Steven would contact Auto Trader about it. One of Scott's coworkers described him as a, quote, nervous wreck on the day Steven Avery was arrested, and he oddly made a comment that one of his stepsons had blood on his clothes and that they'd gotten mixed up with his laundry. Theory number 2, the cops did it. Not many of you who watched all of Making a Murderer will doubt that the cops are up to something nefarious, but few believe that any member of the Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department actually killed Teresa Halbach themselves. But some people do. Here's the theory. We already know that the Sheriff's Department was getting some bad press from the $36 million civil suit that Avery had filed against them. Additionally, the 40 acres of Avery property sit on potentially valuable mining land, and Doug Hagg, that area's head of real estate transfers and registry, is also a lawyer and a mentor to the DA. Yeah, that's right, Ken Kratz. This adds some fuel to the fire that the cops had a real motive for, at least framing Steven Avery. Also not brought up in the docuseries is the fact that 2 of the jurors had relationships with city employees. One was the father of a sheriff's department employee. The other was married to a woman who worked for the clerk of court's office. Filmmakers Laura Riccialdi and Moira Demos told the Today Show recently that one of the jurors felt intimidated and scared for his or her safety if they didn't vote guilty.
They told us really that they were afraid that if they held out for a mistrial that it would be easy to identify which juror had done that, and they were fearful for their own safety.
Add that to the punctured vial of blood, the magic key, and Colborne's inexplicable call about Halbach's car 2 days before it was found.
Lynn.
Hi, Andy.
Can you run Sam William Henry 582?
Okay, that's what you're looking for, Andy?
99 Toyota.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
You're so welcome. Bye-bye.
And you've got plenty of evidence that Avery could have been framed. Of course, in terms of actual evidence that any member of the Sheriff's Department had something to do with Halbach's death specifically, there really isn't any. As much as some fans might want to see these guys go down, they probably didn't have anything to do with the murder itself. Theory number 3, some rando did it. Judge Willis ruled that Strang and Buting could not bring up other potential suspects in their defense of Avery. However, there are some individuals who either had access to the Avery land or acted suspiciously around the time of the murder. A blog post from 2009 tells the story of a woman whose husband, known in these theories as the German, was eliciting strange behavior in 2005, cutting up her underwear and setting her clothes on fire. On October 31st, 2005, the day Teresa Halbach disappeared, the man commented to his wife about visiting an auto salvage yard and meeting with a, quote, stupid photographer. The following week, she noticed her husband had scratches on his back and a cut on his finger that bled from time to time. On November 6th, he was arrested for disorderly conduct. When the woman brought up the similarities to the Halbach case, Manitowoc County Sheriff's Department officers told her they had already found their man. Others think that Halbach may have had an unknown stalker. Shortly before her disappearance, a coworker recalls Halbach getting unwanted phone calls and saying, "Not him again." Of course, this could be any of the previously mentioned suspects, including Steven Avery himself. Speaking of stalkers, here's theory number 4. The ex-boyfriend did it. Viewers will remember that Halbach's ex-boyfriend, Ryan Hiegas, said he stopped by her place on the 31st to drop something off, but he couldn't remember whether it was morning, afternoon, or evening. During the trial, he testified that he, quote, made up a username and guessed the password to her voicemail. He ostensibly did this to see if the messages gave any leads to her whereabouts, but online sleuths have suspected that he did this to delete one or more incriminating messages. Villegas was also allowed on the Avery property before Halbach's body was found, past police checkpoints, to lead the search.
Did they find anything while you were out searching?
I'm not really going to comment on that, but if anything was found, you know, we had proper authority and professionals take a look at it.
How many times were you on the site, Julian? You were there Saturday when they found the car, but how many other times were you on the site?
I wasn't on the site. That's not true at all.
If there was going to be any sort of tampering with evidence, he'd have a good opportunity. Add that to the fact that a lover or ex-lover of any murdered person is usually the first suspect, and you've got some reasonable suspicions. That being said, there's no physical evidence tying Villegas to the crime scene or any witnesses putting him near the Avery property that day. So this one probably stays in the realm of speculation. Theory number 5, Steven Avery did it. Despite the mountain of evidence suggesting police malfeasance, it still may be the most reasonable conclusion that Steven Avery did in fact commit the murder. Let's start with the stuff that wasn't in the docuseries. Avery had requested that Halbach personally come out to his home on multiple occasions. On one of these visits, he came out wearing a towel, and this apparently creeped Halbach out. Avery's phone called Halbach's phone 3 times on the day of her disappearance, using a *67 number so that she couldn't see who was calling. Avery's DNA was on the hood latch of Halbach's car. Brendan Dassey, in his confession, says that Avery opened the car's hood to remove her battery. Halbach's camera and Palm Pilot were found in the burn barrel. The bullet from the garage was fired from Steven Avery's gun, which hangs over his bed. There's also Avery's history of sexual misconduct. Steven Avery was accused of sexually assaulting his cousin in 2004. Prosecutors decided not to pursue this charge during the Halbach case, since they were already trying him for murder. Brendan Dassey also told investigators that Avery had molested him as a boy. That's from the same Dassey confessions where he was making up all kinds of stuff, so take that info with a grain of salt. The point is, even if the sheriff's department was dirty as hell, there's still a decent chance that Avery, or a member of the Avery family, committed the murder. Who do you think is guilty? Let us know in the comments below, like and subscribe for more of What's Trending.